So a few days ago, a gentleman called Paul from Evolution Power Tools got in touch with me, and he asked if I want to try some of their power tools. I know the brand for a long time and I have good experience with it, so I happily said yes. And very shortly after that I received these 3 boxes, which is a circular saw, a meter saw and a meter saw stand. So in this video I'm going to unbox these tools and make some test cuts. So these tools has been reviewed several different times on many different channels before, so I'd like to take a slightly different approach and share my own thoughts and my own experience about that brand, basically. I'm sure most of you already know that these tools are capable of cutting a wide range of different materials with the same machine and same blade. I'm not gonna go too deep into the specs of the saw, I'm just gonna let it speak for itself. And like I said, there are some really good detailed reviews out there on these tools. So that first box I'm unpacking is the meter saw stand. Obviously all of the tools comes with instruction manuals. To be honest, I'm not really the guy who reads them, but I would certainly recommend for you to read it all and make sure you clearly understand. As you can see, I do look into the manual, but only when I feel like I need it. And this is the stand assembled, very straightforward, pretty much ready to use in minutes. I should say I'm very impressed with the build quality and it feels very sturdy too. And now it's time to unbox the meter saw. So unboxing a new tool and talking about the specs, making test cuts and showing this to the public, that's a very nice thing, but can you honestly recommend the tool for somebody just using the tool for only a couple of hours? Well, that's maybe questionable. You just don't know how well this tool will perform on the long run. But here is the deal, I do own an older model Evolution meter saw for about 5 or 6 years, and I can talk about my experience with that. So this was a special edition model, but as far as I know, the only difference from the more colorful hobby category model is basically just the color. That is, this one came in full black. The specs of the saw are the same as far as I know. I have purchased this saw for my business and I used it a lot for building partition walls and cutting floor joists, railings, making built-in cabinets, and I possibly installed thousands of meters of skirting boards in houses. And after 5 or 6 years of using this saw commercially, it still runs the same way when I purchased it. And that gives me the confidence to try the new one. And yes, there are obvious differences between the two. The new one is definitely a lighter construction. It has some new features, which the old one doesn't. The overall build quality, the castings, the attention to detail, I think it is very impressive. And the concept of being able to cut metal as well as wood with the same machine and same blade, that's quite interesting. It has some engineering challenges, and let me explain why. Cutting wood is completely different from cutting metal with a TCT blade. So chop saw designed for cutting wood only usually requires high RPM, which is ranges from 4500 to 5000 RPM, and slightly lower torque. And the chop saw designed for cutting metal only with a TCT blade requires low RPM, high torque, which is the complete opposite. And certainly the gearing required for these two different tasks is also different. So being able to design a machine and the cutting blade which is suitable for both tasks, now that's what I call genius. Now this is a fact that they had to lower the RPM to achieve that. My older Evolution chop saw operates at 3000 RPM. Now this newer model, it is actually higher. It operates at 3750 RPM, which is an improvement in cutting quality. Now the downside is to cutting wood with lower RPM machines, even though if the surface is nice and smooth, but when your blade is starting to get dull, it has a higher tendency to rip out the fibers. Never been a big problem for me. It's usually easy to resolve with a bit of sanding. Because of that newer model has higher RPM, I would expecting it to perform better in these terms as well. You've possibly seen that nails in the wood cutting test 100 times before, but I just wanted to try it myself as well. I just made this cut only to check how square the machine is cutting, and is spot on, as you can see. Finally, I just decided to cut up all the sawmill offcuts I have. Now it's time to unpack the circular saw as well. This is pretty much the same concept. You can cut wide range of different materials with the same saw and blade. The only thing I want to say, it's a handheld machine, and because of that the blade is not necessarily want to go in a straight line unless you're using it with a straight edge or the fence, which is absolutely fine when you're cutting wood, but when it comes to cut metal, that's a completely different story. You got to be careful with the feed rate, and you have to have very steady hands. Otherwise it's easy to get a catch and a kickback that could ruin the blade and damage the machine as well. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration, and please let me know what you think below in the comment section.